Did you know that if you eat carrots, you can see better in the dark? Also, if you pull a face and the wind changes, you're going to be stuck with that forever. Well, maybe not. Those are just some myths that are out there. But what are some content creator myths that are out there? This is the Stream Room podcast, the podcast about content creation by content creators for content creators. And I'm one of your hosts, Reapz.
Hello, I'm Eljay. Or am I? That's maybe a myth as well.
Oh. And I'm Nictacular. Hello. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. What a week. We are filming this obviously on a Tuesday. The World Cup has started, so I'm very much, if I seem a little bit blurred, because I stayed up last night watching soccer, because apparently I'm all about that. So that's a lot of fun. How about you boys? What have you been up to in your week?
Working. Just working. I'm very out of it, to be entirely honest, because I no longer stream on Twitch, so I am not following any Twitch drama. So now I'm just making content that I think is good.
Hey!
Which is, what a life.
Weird. It's f***ing weird, but everyone keeps telling me about Twitch drama, and I keep being like, I don't care if they're running ads. It doesn't affect me whatsoever. They'll be like, did you see about this brand new thing that they've done to screw it all up? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I just made some videos and I went live, and that's what I do, but I wasn't on that platform.
That's right. You went live on the YouTubes. How was it? Did it feel same, different?
It felt way better. And I think the summary of that, the whole summary of why it felt better was because I've talked about it before. Twitch streaming, it promotes the idea of just like keep people lurking or engaged. It doesn't promote good content. It just promotes like once they're in, just stay live as long as possible.
Right.
Whereas the way YouTube works, because there's an actual algorithm to it, it kind of like, and also I think the act of having to make a thumbnail and a title for your live stream reminds you that what you're doing is a show. You're not just kind of putting in half-assed go live, play game effort. And so you kind of go live with this idea on YouTube as I'm putting a show on. I'm not going to be live for 8 hours. I'm going to be live for however long the show takes. It's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of fun, not energy in the terms of excitement, energy in the terms of I'm going to put effort in and stuff like that. And the reason is because, well, my VOD will never expire. It's going to sit on my channel as a thumbnail. It's going to do all these things. And anyone who clicks on from the algorithm should want to be engaged and retained as a viewer. And to be honest, even though I only had like 35, 36 viewers on the brand new Eljay channel, because I didn't promote it on Stream Scheme, because that's another thing is I don't want my audience. This is a mistake I made with my Twitch channel, was obviously promoting so heavily on Stream Scheme. And that's not necessarily a mistake, because there's no downside to having people come across, watch your stream for a bit and leave because they're not into your gaming. They only want your stream advice on Twitch. But on YouTube, sending people who aren't interested in the content to a channel hurts you because the retention rate gets tanked.
Yeah.
So if I told everyone on Stream Scheme, the 4,000 people who click on the Eljay Twitch monthly and said to them, hey, go over to this YouTube channel, I would be sending over 4,000 people who are going to tank my algorithm.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. It's like I try very carefully to make sure I don't promote it, and only the people who are watching are the people actually keen to watch. But yeah, even though I only had like 35, 37 people watching over on YouTube, it was probably the most fun I've had in a long time. There was no stress or anxiety either, because it was like, it felt more like I was recording a YouTube video while live. I know I probably should have interacted with the chat a bit more, but I just didn't care.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
It's like kind of what it is.
It's like, it's just one of those things. It's like a lot of it was like, when I tried to do things like, hey guys, how has your day been? Or rank yourself out, how your day's been out of 10. Like that's something everyone does on Twitch, right? Or like you say like, everyone who joins this stream, I'll give you a cool nickname, stuff like that. Like those are like the old staples that I used to do. It felt weird on YouTube doing that, because YouTube, it's almost like it inherently focuses on making you make good content.
Right.
If you're going live on YouTube and you're not trying to make some sort of like entertaining show with a good concept and good content and a thumbnail that's clickable and stuff like that, well, you may as well just be on Twitch, right? Because it's useless. And so, yeah, I don't know. It was good though. It was amazing, to be honest. But I have a rule of thumb. I'm not going live on YouTube consistently unless I have an idea for a stream that I think is good.
Okay.
So like people were like, I'm going to be live next Friday as well. And I was like, no, probably not, because I have an idea for a stream, but I need to beat Pokemon Scarlet first. So that'll happen when I beat Pokemon Scarlet and come back to do that stream.
Gotcha.
I'm not just going to go live for the sake of it.
I kind of like that, because then it kind of like, even though you're producing consistent content in the form of videos, when you do end up live streaming, that's more of an exciting event, I guess, for the viewer base. It's like, oh, he's going to be live. Oh, he's live right now, and going to pop in. So I think that'd be exciting. Well, yeah, hopefully that's the reception to it. I did pop in, and I was lurking for a little bit because I was like right before I headed to bed, and yeah, it looked like chat was like really consistent on it. It looked like you're having a great time. It was good.
Yeah, about 1,000 chat messages an hour because we were live for about 4 hours, which is fine. Chat activity died off the later in the night it got because obviously my regulars who jumped in at the start kind of all started going to bed, and that's totally fine. But I think it's also totally fine to have that happen because, again, people are going to watch this VOD back. This is another thing that I've realized. Like later in the night when chat did start dying down a bit, I started kind of feeling like maybe I was supposed to do more to engage them. But then a few days later, I was looking at it and the VOD, the actual VOD has gotten like 200 more views offline and like 60, 70 hours of watch time offline, which is wild. And just goes to show that if you are creating YouTube shorts and creating YouTube videos, going live with a good VOD, with a good thumbnail and stuff like that, that's going to sit on your channel is also very powerful. If you're trying to reach monetization.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, man, all those people who clicked onto this VOD after the fact can't answer those questions. So really, it just means that you need to make the most engaging, good content you can, because it's almost like you shouldn't give a fuck about who's watching right now. You should give a fuck about the people who are going to click it later in the future and make sure they can also watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go too heavily on the old YouTube and stuff like that because you had a specific thing you want to talk about. But I guess it's also in the grain of it, though. A big myth, I think people think of YouTube streaming as the same as Twitch, but I think it's a completely different ball game.
Yeah. I think you made an interesting point there of the fact that it will sit on your channel because as we know, when it comes to Twitch, you do a live stream and it will sit on your channel for up to a month, or if you're a partner, 2 months, unless you archive it elsewhere. 2
weeks now and then only 30 days for partners.
There you go.
I think they've lowered it all down, but I'd have to check when that actually went into place.
For the,
there you go.
Mean for the default? Like
No, I think they've actually lowered it in general. I'll Google it. You keep going.
Yeah. Because I find that interesting because obviously you do have to now think that if you obviously don't delete the stream afterwards and it does sit on your channel, people can go back at any time and watch your live stream. And as you said, accrue up the watch time or, get those extra clicks and stuff, which is a really cool concept to me. And I think looking at that as well, do you feel, because when you answer chat, obviously, you know that's a kind of live interaction. That's what streams are for, obviously, to answer it. Do you feel it's necessary now, because it sits on your channel for however long you want it to have chat on the screen so people actually know at the time what you're responding to? Or do you have to repeat?
No, because you've got on YouTube, they highlight it all. So it's all next to when you click on a VOD on your channel, it's like there the same way your chat is there normally. It's like there.
Right.
So in fact, I don't want it on my screen whatsoever because I want people who don't care about chat to have the good, nice, clean experience, and then the people who do care about it can have that version of it up on the right hand side easily if they want.
Right. I think it's because I look at YouTube mainly from my TV, and I know that when I look at a past archived VOD, chat doesn't come up as like a side thing. But I think for the desktop experience, it definitely does. So that's good to know. I didn't actually know that.
Honestly, I still wouldn't want my chat on screen.
Yeah.
Because the way I look at it and the way I think about it is that I understand having chat on screen is good if you're doing a lot of interaction and stuff like that. And maybe people want to see it. Some people like it. But for me, I'm also recording at the exact same time. And I don't want the distraction on screen.
Gotcha.
I want to have that clean, nice, crisp looking style where it's just the webcam. Like, one of the problems I have with streaming footage as well when I'm editing is I don't like the fact the webcam was always going to be in a position covering something.
Right.
So like I'm only doing Scarlet. I only did Scarlet as the first 4 hours of Scarlet live. And by that I mean I started the game and then for about 3 hours I didn't go to the very first spot they wanted me to go to. I just explored the entire open world that I could.
Yeah.
I glitched myself from a level like where a bunch of level 5s were. I managed to glitch myself across a cliff to where like level 25s were. Sacrificed 3 Pokemon in my permadeath to catch a level 25 Riolu who wouldn't listen to me because I hadn't done any of the actual story. But because he killed so many people, I called him Lazarus because of like Lazarus Pit.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't know. I feel like I'm recording it as well. So like and I'm doing the rest offline, which I've already done a bunch offline, and I'm going to cut it down to a supercut. And when I record offline, what people probably don't know is I record one really long, wide piece of footage. So I record two 1920 by 1080p things next to each other. and then I put that into a 1920 by 1080p timeline and just layer the footage and move one of the pieces of footage over and then the other piece over. And that way I've got full beautiful cam and I've got full beautiful game, and I can just play with full both without having to sync things. And so, yeah, I just prefer doing that. I don't like having it all just burnt into the gameplay. I hate that. But either way, yeah, it was fun. YouTube streaming was really good. To be honest, I am really enjoying it. Also, clearly YouTube cares a lot about their YouTube streamers and the algorithm, because I scheduled the stream. I uploaded the video. The video got 1,000 views in the first 24 hours without external publishing, which is huge for me. And then I uploaded a bunch of shorts, and pretty much everything is blowing up. Like all of my shorts, I uploaded a short. It's got 50,000 views on it. In the last hour, the channel has gotten 1,600 views, and about 1,400 of them are shorts, 200 on other videos. Like the whole channel is like really kicked off thanks to the short format, working with the medium, working with the live. It's wild.
That is crazy. I think shorts are such a big component now of YouTube, and a great component, because I love making short content, because to me, it's like such a hurdle when you've got to go, I've got to make a 5-10 minute video, whatever it is. Like you got to think concepts and everything. But with shorts, it's like, okay, I just need to think of one idea that I can do well and do it within like 30 seconds or so. And to me, that's a lot easier to attain than when it is like this big scope. It's like I got big scope ideas, but you just know that it takes it out of you. But yeah, I really do love the short form. And now that it's come to YouTube, and it's definitely ingrained in it, that we're going to see a big old change, I think, in terms of how people structure their channels.
I say the first myth. I want to say the first myth. The first myth of content creation is that it's kind of twofold. The first part is that short format content is easy or lazy content. People who think that and say that are honestly just making excuses. The reality is that if you think it's that easy, go and do it.
Yep.
But the reality is you're saying that because you've only seen lazy, easy content and you don't want to put the effort in to make the amazing stuff, the stuff that gets millions and millions and millions of views. And then on the same fold of that, the same type of myth is people who are just still in this day and age, just going live and not doing anything else. Like someone asked me yesterday, I was talking to someone, they're like, oh, look at these creators. And they mentioned a few streamers, right? And they mentioned a few streamers, and they're like, oh, wouldn't it be good to just blow up like these guys did? And they referenced like one person who used to have like 100 views and now is at like 2,000 views because they were doing all these collabs and stuff like that. Right. And they kept showing me all these streamers being like, wouldn't it just be good to have like suddenly 1,800 more people come in? And I was like, no, I don't want any of these people. I don't want the same growth trajectory of any of these people. And they're like, what are you talking about? You don't want 2K viewers? And I'm like, I want 2K viewers. I don't want 2K viewers because I did collabs and because I'm just streaming. Yeah. Like, dude, the idea of any of these creators, and you see them desperately trying to do YouTube. Like they'll blow up, get 2,000 more viewers, and then they'll be desperately trying to make YouTube content, and it just doesn't work for them. And you just know it's like, if this person stops streaming, they stop being a content creator. Yeah. Because those 2,000 people aren't coming from a place where they love their YouTube content, right? They're just there in the stream. And I don't know, I just think it's so, my big myth that I want to start the whole day with is short format content is not lazy, easy content. It's actually way harder than people realize. Yep. And at the same time, the people who are just live streaming in this day and age thinking they're going to grow, come on. Like you put effort in. Yep.
Yeah, it actually leads to one of them that I came up with as well, is that, and I keep seeing it consistently as well, even to someone that I'd spoken to recently, the fact that so many smaller streamers, like, they still feel like they have to grind like lots of days and for like longer stream hours because they're small, because they don't have anything, because they haven't built up like any type of consistent viewer base and things like that. And every time I told this person, I was like, you can't think like that. Like the whole idea of you being able to grow is that you're making other content on other platforms, that you're not live 6 days a week. Or if the 5 days or 4 days a week that you're live, that you're not doing 8 hours for those 4 or 5 streams. So just that's been another one, is that people keep thinking that they have to stream a lot and so many hours. That's just not the case at all.
It's almost the opposite. Don't stream. Like the most successful people I know we're not technically post-pandemic in the real world. The pandemic is still very much going. But when it comes to the streaming industry, we're very much post-pandemic. And I think that shows in the fact that we In terms of Twitch viewership, we are back at a state of April 2020, which was about 2 months after pandemic kicked off, right? So February 2020 was when it all blew up. And then 2 months later in April is when people discovered live streaming was a great way to interact and find a connection while being in isolation and by being locked down, right? Yeah. And so it went from this wild number, right? This wild number suddenly boomed. And it's been huge for the last 2 years. It has barely dropped. In fact, it's only gone up and up and up and up. But we are officially back down to 7 million people, which is huge, don't get me wrong. But that's nothing compared to what we were, right? And if you look at watch hours on the platform are just steadily dropping as well. There are less people spending time actually watching on the platform. And there's also a lot of subs that are just disappearing. People are just no longer subbing as much. All these huge things. And it's just you can just really see it, how bad it is, how bad it's getting. The start of the year, we kicked off with, let's see, in watch time, 2,000 million watch hours. Mm-hmm. And then in last month of October, we're at 1,700 million. So we've lost 400 million hours of watch time.
Yeah. And I think this is obviously to go along with it. We know that people are going out and about. And when you've done something for 2 years of just watching a computer screen, last thing you want to do is watch a computer screen even more. And I'm also in that camp. Once I don't have to look at a screen, I prefer not to. I prefer to see friends or go out and things like that. And that's just to have a healthy mindset and, physical mindset as well. But what I was going to say is that was my number 2 as well. I think we all have this as our second myth. It's that the more hours you grind streaming, the more return you'll get is one of the biggest myths out there. And I think people need to start thinking of streaming as not just streaming. It falls under the banner of content creation, right? And I think the smartest way that you can approach content creation in general is once I do this project, whatever it is, whether it's streaming, videos, short form, whatever it is, what skill set can I attain from that, right? And I think the skill sets you can attain from streaming are a few. Obviously, you think of improv, you think of live editing in terms if you want to do different shots and stuff like that. You may think of planning, right? You may think of, I learn a bit of tech in terms of how to do this. But if you ever go to a job and think of, okay, so I'm a streamer, what can I give somebody? What are the skills that you can give them that you've learned from streaming, right? And I guarantee everyone will say, editing. Well, that's not really streaming though, is it? That's, you've edited to do something on your stream that you're showing. So I think when it comes to making videos in short form, what you learn from that is way more than you could ever learn from streaming myself. Apart from obviously, confidence factor, improv, things like that. From an actual skill set perspective.
I don't think you learn confidence from streaming.
Really?
If anything, I think streaming ruins most people's confidence. I think maybe we've gotten a little bit more confident because of streaming, but I think the large majority of people who try and become streamers or get into streaming have their confidence absolutely decimated. And this is I'm talking from someone who works with small streamers, the definition of small streamers daily, hundreds of people joining that Stream Scheme Discord, asking questions. And one of the major things is that they just have their confidence absolutely shot. Right. You'll say to them, what do you love talking about? And they'll be like, oh, my loves don't matter. I don't care about it. No one cares about me. I don't matter. Blah, 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 blah. And it's because they go live to 0 viewers and they feel that's so ingrained deeply in their personality, that's an attack on them that they don't have viewership. And I think streaming, if anything, ruins that because they're so obsessed with that view number. One of the things I say to people a lot of the time is if you're struggling to make good content to 0 viewers while you're live, take control and instead do a 60-minute recording offline and edit that into a video. Because when you're recording offline, there's no risk factor attached to it. Mm-hmm. You can make a bad joke and cut it out later. You can keep talking over and over and over, and no one's going to troll you. You're supposed to have 0 viewers. There's no stakes. There's no risk. Just have fun with it. Do your best, right? And then learn how to edit afterwards. And I think that streaming, weirdly, you just don't gain any kind of real confidence unless you're successful. Whereas there are places where you can gain confidence, by making videos, because at least you have a product at the end of it. And I think that because we have a bit of survivor bias in the sense that we did quite well. And so I think we gained a bit of confidence from it. But the large majority never find that. They, in fact, go the complete opposite direction.
That's another myth that we kind of debunked there, is that you can gain confidence from streaming. I think it's more the hurdle of going live is a big hurdle for a lot of people, putting yourself out there. is what I was like more ascertaining
Oh,
to.
okay, sorry, yeah.
But no. But I think you're completely correct in that once you do go live and you get over that hurdle of like, I did it, and you keep going live, there are more chances that there is going to be that kind of knockdown factor that you get from it. Because as we know, you get trolls, you get people who may have takes that you didn't realize, or they want to bring up certain political or traumatic experiences of their life. And you're like, this was not what I was hoping to do from streaming. Sorry, I cut you off there, Nick.
No, it's all right. No, what I was going to say in regards to that was I think you do have to have a certain level of confidence and sort of self-presentation to begin with to actually see
narcissism.
Yeah, just that little bit, just to, so that way as you go, you get more confident being that center of attention. I will say, like, from my personal experience, I hated public speaking and was very anxious about it. And then from the years of streaming, when it came time again to be like on stage or like talking to a crowd, I was a lot more comfortable. There's that initial anxiety of like you going up on stage, you're talking to a crowd, but then it immediately disappears. It's like, okay, yeah, you're used to talking to a camera, now you're talking to a crowd full of people, but it doesn't feel as daunting as it used to be back before I was streaming regularly. So sometimes it can work out that way, but most often it's definitely how you approach it at the very beginning and how you are as a person.
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting one. So we've kind of we haven't really structured our myths today. I think the general concept is just to have a chat about all these things and these mistakes and these kind of ideas and try to peel back the curtain a little bit. Because I think one of the things people loved about the stream room early on was we were quite honest and open about a lot of the mistakes and kind of confusion that people have early on. But I think that one probably is the biggest one. Like, legitimately, back to what I said at the start, if you are doing this as a hobby and you just want to have fun, do whatever you want, right? Like, do whatever the hell you want. It does not matter. But if you're trying to do this because you really want to grow an audience, I know it sounds like a weird take or a hot take, but stop streaming. Just fucking stop. Mm-hmm. Like, especially because you're probably also doing a job at the same time, or you've got school at the same time. And the hours you're putting into a stream likely aren't going to return the results that you are hoping for in the same way that actually putting time into other things will. You know what I mean? It's like if you've got a 5-day-a-week job, or you got 3 lectures a week and the homework and all sorts of assignments and stuff like that, there's no point spending 20 to 30 hours going live on Twitch every single week, or even on YouTube, right? Like if you're doing it as a hobby, go for it. But I really do think that less hours spent streaming, even 0 hours, is going to be better for growth if you're trying to create a following, an audience, right? Actually do something. And I don't know, I feel like it's hard to say, because I feel like a lot of Twitch partners out there, if you go into their chat, and you shouldn't do this, but if you went into their chat and people do it, they'll say, can you give me some advice about what I should do to grow my stream? Almost every single one of them, right? No matter who they are, will say, start a YouTube channel. But I feel like 90% of the people who say that, if you went and looked at their YouTube channel, it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's and it's almost like they're stuck in a treadmill. They know what they're supposed to do, but they're not doing it. And so my big thing here is that if you think hours streamed is what's going to cause you to grow, I promise you, take a step back, don't do that, and instead set a commitment to yourself that you're going to create one piece of evergreen, consistent content every single week for an entire year. And every single time you create that piece of content, I want you to watch it back after it's released and write down something you learned from it. Mm-hmm. Like something you legitimately learned from it, or something you tried and whether or not it went well or badly or not. And then you're going to have an entire notebook filled with things that you've learned over a year, and you're going to be able to look back and see how much progress you've made. And I promise you right now, if you did streaming every single week for 52 weeks and you did the exact same thing, after about 6 weeks, you would no longer have things that you have learned, and you are running on a treadmill.
Yeah.
I honestly believe you will grow so much more as a creator, so much more as a person. Who cares about the viewership idea of growth? If you just sat down and said, I'm going to make a video about something I love, this topic that I love, every week, right? And you will become a much more well-rounded, happier, probably healthier person than if you sat there streaming for 20 hours every single week.
I completely agree. Also, to bring this from a position of knowing, before I became, partner or whatever it was, I averaged around 20 to 30 people a stream for about 2-3 years, right? And obviously, the only thing that kicked me off into making this a reality was a worldwide, global, terrible thing where people are stuck at home and have to entertain themselves, the pandemic. And that's the only way that my channel grew. Now, obviously, people are going to be like, you did this, that, and the other. And yeah, of course. But it was an organic thing from Twitch that wasn't really organic in the sense it was more just more eyes were on it. And because of that, I grew and grew and grew to the state where it's like, I'm around the 100 mark, right? But what I wish I would have done to get to that mark is definitely applied myself more to YouTube. Because I guarantee you, if I started around the same time in 2017 and applied as much into YouTube, or it doesn't have to be YouTube, any type of video platform, you can even put stuff on Twitter or Instagram if you want. I think I would have seen tenfold the amount of progress that I would have made. Not in terms of people watching me on stream, I can't know that, but in terms of where I am as a creator, I think I would have been a lot more respected, I say in quotation marks, or known, because obviously 6 years in learning and knowing the trends and knowing how to appeal to a worldwide demographic is a lot better than what it is at the moment. Because I think we have to say, if you were to start on Twitch right now or streaming right now, just streaming, it's going to be very hard for you to get up there without collabs if you're not doing the other stuff.
And even with collabs, we've discussed it. Someone mentioned to me, they were like, "Oh, guys, I love your podcast, but I'm so confused. 6 weeks ago, you talked about how collabs are one of the best ways to grow, but then 2 weeks ago, you talked about how it's so painful to do collabs because it doesn't work." And it's like, yeah, that's exactly right. It's so aggressively specific about how you actually grow with these collabs and how it works, and it's still so hit and miss. Like, for example, in the podcast 2 weeks ago, Nick talked about how there was a lot of crossover for him that worked really well when he did his second stream with Walker and Sharky. But then the problem was, no one comes back 3 weeks later when you're not doing those horror games.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, there's so many really careful, specific things. Like, for example, there are creators who do massive collabs, but then the biggest person goes live, has all the viewers, and the other people have to stay live really long so they get the raid of people coming over, even the unofficial or official one. But I don't know. I just feel like, here's my thing, right? On this whole topic of creating content. I think people set their expectations that will always cause them to fail, right? They think they deserve viewers on their videos. They expect them after 3 or 4. And the problem is, because of those two things, they give up after 3 or 4. And I think to myself, that's not how it works. I made like 30 videos on Stream Scheme before the algorithm was like, okay, now I'm going to make you successful.
Yeah.
It was like 20, 30 videos. And then some of my earliest day videos started blowing up. Like the ones that I'd uploaded 8 months prior, 6 months prior, 4 months prior, started doing well, started popping off. And it's not a matter of you keep uploading, and if they don't do well, they fail forever. That's how streams work, right? That's not how videos work. Videos are, you're creating a whole catalog, right? And you're making all this content. And when the algorithm starts going, okay, I kind of get this now. I'm going to do this. You're putting a consistent amount of content out here, okay? And after a year, you've got 52 pieces of content that slowly have improved if you put effort in. And it's like, one of them might do really well. And I'll tell you what, the whole back catalog, if you've put effort in, if you've made it so it's interesting to your audience, if you've made it so you've put your time and energy into it, they'll all start to pick up with it. But people don't see it that way. They see it as every video goes up. Oh, it didn't do well, I guess it's over. It's like, no. 5 videos might not do well. The 6th video could, and then all 5 previously will start to do well as well. Yeah. But people don't respect the concept of these. People don't respect the concept of this stuff being live forever. They don't respect the idea of it takes time. It takes months worth of work. Like 6 months is something like, for 4 videos a month, came out to something like 24, 30 videos that I uploaded to Stream Scheme before really they started like picking up. Go look at someone's Social Blade and you'll see like Point Crow didn't blow the fuck up overnight. He made like 50 videos before they all started doing well. His first video has millions of views now because he didn't stop after a week. Yeah. Right? But people stop after 2-3 weeks, or they don't upload weekly, or they don't put this time and energy into improving. And then they go, doesn't work. And I don't know. I'm feeling really passionate about this recently because I'm doing it. I'm doing the gaming channel now, and I've found the thing that I fucking love to do. And it's like the flow state is back. Yeah. Early on with Stream Scheme, I loved doing all this marketing. I loved talking about these things. I had this flow state whenever I was scripting or writing or doing stuff because I was excited for it. Yeah. And I still have that when I'm doing certain topics like the ads or exclusivity or the news, but I can't just do those. You know what I mean? We've talked about this before. Like last night I uploaded the video called How to Actually Grow in 2023, which is similar to what we're talking about today. And someone commented, didn't you make this video a year and a half ago? And I wrote back to him saying, oh no, he said, didn't you make this video a year and a half ago? I feel like you sometimes make the exact same videos over and over. And I wrote back to him saying, hey man, no, I don't make the same videos over and over and over. You just click those videos.
Yeah.
Right? And I said, look at the last 10 videos. I've got like 6 of them that are there are like entirely specific feature updates and how they affect the industry and stuff like that. But people don't click those necessarily.
Yeah.
Right? The people who watch the 0 viewers will only watch the 0 viewers. But anyway, sorry, I digress. I feel really passionate about this because I feel like there are a lot of people out there who I really want to see succeed.
Yeah.
But the reality is the only thing I can say to them is that they're kind of half-assing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like people go, oh, I don't have enough time to do this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you were live for 40 fucking hours.
Yeah.
Like they'll be in the stream screen Discord like, I don't know. I don't have the time to make a video this week. It's like, well, why were you live for 40, 50 hours to 3 viewers?
Yeah.
Like, and they never have an answer because there is no real excuse. You can say you love it and that's fine. If it's a hobby, go for it. But if you're actually trying to grow, if you're coming to people and saying, I want to grow, then why the fuck are you live for 50 hours to 3 viewers and then saying you can't make a video or a bunch of shorts? I don't know. It frustrates me because I want these people to succeed and I'm just losing my mind.
It's hard. I mean, you're basically, as you said, on a treadmill. And that's the thing. It's like I have to boot my ass into gear for the fact that I've recently moved to 3 days. I think this is the second week I'm on 3 days. And, you know, basically trying to get myself organized, doing the brand stuff as well, and obviously doing the podcast. And it's just like I keep making excuses for myself not to do the actual thing that I wanted to do. And that's what I've like written out a list for myself this week. It's like, I got to achieve this, this, and this. And I know that it really does rely on myself. I think a lot of people think it relies on the viewers watching them, but you have to make the content for the viewers to watch, if you know what I mean? And they kind of miss that middle step of just like they want instant gratification. And I think that that goes along with like the TikTok kind of universe in terms of it's that instant hit, right? You go to the next one, you go to the next one, and it's all recent, right? You won't see like a TikTok from 50 billion, years ago, internet time. And people think, oh, because it didn't blow up straight immediately, that means that it's not going to blow up at all. But with YouTube, as you said, it's completely different, is that there is an algorithm. If they like your content, they're going to be recommended it. I remember clicking on one video and I think, it was playing in the background and it went to another person's channel, right? And I was like, I don't know who this person is. And so I clicked off because I wasn't watching the video. And then I went back to my YouTube homepage where it says recommended, and I got more recommended of this person that I didn't watch. And some people may be like, oh, that sucks. But it's also like, that shows that the algorithm is working with. It's like, oh, you watch this, perchance you may watch this. And if you don't, they just, wipe it again and go with the things you do, which is very exciting for me. But the reason why I came up with the topic today of myths is because of this one, which happened recently. And boys, say if you agree or disagree with this one, but creators have your best interests in mind. Do you think that is a myth or do you think that is the truth?
Absolutely not. Even the ones who you think don't. Yep. I'm going to say the fucking biggest hot take ever. But every single person who you've gone into their stream and who's like, I'm a wholesome chatter, I'm a wholesome streamer, everybody, come hang out with me. Yay, wholesome, wholesome, wholesome. That is scary. Okay, I do not trust someone who instantly tries to connect with me on an emotional level when I come into their chat as a viewer. It is weird. Okay. And people are going to be like, Eljay, that's kind of cruel. And it's like, you don't get it. You can be a wholesome person without broadcasting your entire brand as you are a wholesome, safe place where you're going to be best friends with everyone. It is weird. And the worst part, the last 6 months of Twitch slowly dipping in viewership, it has gotten more and more prevalent. Okay. One of the biggest reasons that I've stopped watching Twitch is because every time I try and find new streams in the games I like, I feel like really uncomfortable. Like, I don't like chatting anymore. I used to like chatting every now and then. Like, I'd join like a Stardew stream with 50, 60 viewers and I'd be like, hey guys, no partner badge or on my alt account or something like that. Like, oh, you're doing winter? What are you up to this thing? And it's like suddenly I'm bombarded with like 6 questions. How's my day going? What's going on? How's this? What's that? What's this? And it's like, or it's like someone subs and it's like, thank you so much for the sub. I love you so much. You know, you're making me be able to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck, dude?
I think it's when it becomes insincere that's where I find a problem with, because I do believe that people
never
out
feel
there,
sincere though.
Really? For me, it does to some people. That may just be me.
I'm sure there are some people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying like there's such a fine line, and I feel like if it's so heavily broadcast. And the amount of times over the past 6 months that it's like someone who is this super wholesome, like pushes all this stuff, and then it comes out on Twitter that they're a fucking piece of shit.
Right.
Who's like in the background is like bragging about how they manipulate money out of their viewers, or like they've sent some horrible fucking bullying DMs to people. It's like,
oh yeah.
It's like, just don't trust that shit, dude. Don't trust anyone forward facing. Don't even trust me. Like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I am a piece of shit. Like, I don't know.
I'm glad you finally admitted it. Like,
dude, the other day people were like, you have to get monetized ASAP on my first YouTube stream. And they were like, you got to get monetized. I'm like, guys, I'm not too worried about it. They're like, get monetized so we can support you. We want to support you, get monetized. And I literally said, why? I was like, why? Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like I was like, guys, you shouldn't be worried about wanting to support me and paying my rent and stuff like that. Like, you watching this are doing me a favor.
Yes, that's
like,
very
you shouldn't
true.
You shouldn't have to pay me further, right? And like, but like, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like they just like it's this culture thing where people, and it's always the people who have come in kind of from like a lovely, kind people, right? And I just feel like it's really, really, really rough, because it's like you shouldn't be so concerned about making sure that you're able to pay $5 a month to a YouTuber. Right? Like, you should just be able to enjoy the content, enjoy the space. And I'm worried that this entire culture and this entire space has been sucked into this idea that fan funding is your responsibility as a viewer.
Oh, yeah, that's a terrible thing. And that's another myth out there, is that this also goes in real life as well. When it comes to a fandom, right? The most hardcore fans, you can call yourself the #1 fan because I spent X amount on this. I've got this type of, special edition figurine from this show, which shows how badass I am as a fan. It should never be the monetary value that you put in makes you the biggest fan. And I also feel that there's streamers out there who, when they get big sums of subs or bits or donations, they feel obligated to that person to not call them out if they do something shitty. You know what I mean?
Dude, that is so common.
Yeah. 100%.
I want to add context here. People are going to think that I'm being way too harsh on the idea of all wholesome stream and stuff like that. I want to add context. If you are commenting or you're about to comment saying that I'm being a dick or being a cunt, that's totally fair. You're allowed to do that. Do whatever you want. But understand that I'm coming from a place of legitimately, there is a huge wave of people who are making it that their viewers are responsible for their entire livelihood and everything. And rather than like trying to actually create the highest quality content, they are leaning into the more and more like parasocial aspects, like the manipulative aspects. Okay. I'm not talking about Joe Blob who sits there playing, Animal Crossing and just hanging out, chatting to people, right? I'm talking about the people who are specifically making choices to try and suck more money out of their viewers on purpose, like legitimately manipulating them, telling them they love them and stuff.
Yeah, through the guise of being wholesome, yes. And I think that's a very important aspect there. But the reason why I bring up creators have your best interests in mind is because of the fact this past week, I sent the video around, I'm sure people have already seen it, about IamSpeed, of course, giving into the bag that is cryptocurrency / NFTs, and doing a stream where it was advertised as him meeting Cristiano Ronaldo, because, his whole thing is him saying Sue, and he made a song about him and stuff. And it was honestly, it was about cryptocurrency. It was about a game that's coming out that will give you NFTs if you play it. And he was signing PS5s. And the funny thing was, all of his viewers, who I would believe are mainly teenagers, were even calling him out while the stream was live about scam. And he was kind of taken back by the fact that, there was this blowback over him doing a sponsored stream, which was, as the aforementioned. And I think when it does come to those big time streamers, especially the communities that like back those streamers, there seems to be this kind of like fantasy that they are looking out for you. That like, if you do invest in this, I'm investing in it, guys. I'm doing this, that, and the other. That people have to do it because it's like, well, if he's doing it, he's looking out for us, and I know that I care about him, so he cares about me. To follow along in those footsteps, and it's kind of fucked up that there is this thing of like, it doesn't have to be as blatant as I'm doing a sponsor stream about NFTs. But like Eljay was saying, when it is this thing of like emotional blackmail, that's when you're kind of like, where is the separation there? How can you trust somebody that you've never met and you only know through a computer screen? That was what I wanted to bring up.
And not just signing PS5s, he was smashing PS5s with a sledgehammer. Just smash. Yeah, did you not see that part?
I did not see that. Well, I don't remember that part.
Yeah, no. He was because I watched CoffeeZilla's video about it. Yeah, they were straight up smashing PS5s. Like they're like, oh, we're gonna give them away, and then it was almost like spitting in the face of everybody. It's like, oh, there's these expensive things that we can afford, and they're just smashing them, which is what people wanted to win. They were like smashing potential PS5s that they were giving away. It was just crazy, absolutely crazy. Like the fake Cristiano Ronaldo as well. Like they shuffled him in so awkwardly, and he was wearing like a crypto short.
I do feel for Speed though. I don't like his content by any means, but the guy's 17.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I really try. I don't know. Like I have a lot more. I'm going to be a lot more critical, and I'm going to rant when it comes to, you know, a 26-year-old sitting there blackmailing their audience by telling them they love them every sub, than I am going to be critical of iShowSpeed, to be honest. Because a 17-year-old being offered millions of dollars or blowing up in a year, they're going to make a lot of mistakes like this. But here's the thing. That if someone calls out that 27-year-old wholesome streamer who's blackmailing their viewers emotionally for subs, they're not going to say, you know what, that language I was using is unfair. It is manipulative to an audience who are seeking companionship and stuff like that. I will be better. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, you just hate our wholesome community, right? Which happens constantly, right? Because, you know, they can't admit they're doing those things, right? It goes against the brand. But at least iShowSpeed next day goes live. People are still calling him out, and he goes, I made a mistake. I'm wrong. I apologize. And it's like, dude, instantly a fucking 17-year-old who made a mistake owned up to it faster than fucking 90% of streamers.
Yeah.
And so, like, I totally get, like, you know, cryptocurrency and stuff like that. Like, and it should be called out to a degree. I don't know. I just personally, I have a lot more forgiveness for Speed, despite in no way liking his content.
Yeah.
Than I would have almost anyone else who is out there right now doing similar things.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's what people forget, that he is just 17, and that the meme of him saying that it's a meme that he says that he's 19. But it's also a huge fail from his support network, the people that he surrounds himself with to help him, like, and advise him to be like, hey, this is not good, or yeah, this is great, we'll do this. So it's a massive failure on that part too, because while he of course does have some accountability, he is still a kid after all.
And also, I think it's valid to say that when you think of creators, right, they are the head honcho, they're the CEO, they're the boss, right? They make all the decisions. But what you don't realize is that they also can be manipulated by said companies, thinking that what they're doing is a good thing, is not a bad thing in any respect of the way. And then they put it out there and then realize, oh crap, I made a terrible mistake. Kind of like, you know, Valkyrie when she did the skin treatment about you, like blue light, and it protects you from blue light. Like a silly mistake. But she's just like, oh, maybe there is this protection and blue light is bad. You know, she didn't do the research, right? And she too was manipulated by these companies because of the money signs or whatever it is. And you got to realize that everybody makes mistakes, and you can't think that because they're this person that they're perfect or infallible by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and I guess maybe then I probably should also admit there that I was probably a bit harsh on the whole parasocial manipulative stuff. I'm really frustrated by it because I'm seeing it so much more lately. And I think I was talking to a few creators. I was in a call the other night just hanging out with a bunch of creators. We were just playing some games. And I said to them, I was like, have you guys seen this? Am I just losing my mind a bit? And almost everyone was like, yeah, no, it has been on the rise. They're like, it has like legitimately been increasing. And I was like, why is it? And someone who's much more talented than I am, I won't say who because it was a private conversation, was like, I think it's desperation. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, well, people are seeing their view counts drop. They're seeing their subs are going to be 50-50. They're seeing all these massive issues, and they haven't diversified into other platforms. They haven't set themselves up to be safe and all these kinds of things. And they're suddenly getting desperate.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why people are also taking much stranger sponsorships all of a sudden, or they're doing all these new things or like really aggressively pushing subs. And there's this kind of desperation that they'll do anything to keep those people there. And I was just like, I can't say if it's true or not. I can understand the concept and I can understand it, but like it is fucking rough right now. Like for a viewer, like it is rough for a viewer, and everyone do your own thing. I shouldn't judge too much. It's better not to tear people down, but at the same time, it just breaks my heart a bit to see some of the strategies and some of the ways that live streaming on Twitch is going. Mm-hmm. Also, we're not going to go into it ourselves personally, but I think maybe I'm also very jaded because in the past week, we've seen a massive, massive failure in our personal industry that has been going on for years, has finally been proven to be a massive, massive failure in our industry.
Right.
So I think maybe I'm a little bit extra jaded right now and extra frustrated at our space.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of the people in there who refused to take personal accountability of situations they saw happening and ignored. So I don't know. I feel like, but at the same time, I'm also kind of not involved in any of it anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's fucking great. Being
out of drama is an amazing feeling, isn't it? I mean, I hate it. It was funny. The other day I was thinking, I really need to get my, Twitter followers up, although who really needs that now given the state of Twitter? But I did the thing of like, I scrolled back through my Twitter feed and I was like, what have I given to Twitter? And it's just go lives. And I'm like, 95% of my posts are go lives. And I'm like, no wonder people don't want to follow me. I don't give them anything. So I guess it's like you have to look at yourself and you've got to look at what you can do to whatever platform it is, whether it's Instagram or whatever, and what you can actually bring to it. Because I know that it's like, I think I'm doing things right, but really I'm not. And that's what I need to work on when it comes to those things. But here's another myth. Do you boys have myths written down, or should I just spout them off and you go?
I got a bunch.
Great. Okay. Having low numbers on whatever platform does not mean you're a bad content creator. Do you think
myth is that? Hold on. Are you saying the myth is that you are a bad creator?
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people when they see low numbers, they think I must just be bad at it.
Right. Okay. So the myth is you're not actually bad. But the myth is that you're bad. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah,
the myth is that you're a bad content creator because you've got low numbers and people view you as such.
I think it depends on the platform, right? I think if you have low numbers on shorts, then it's probably the biggest, quickest wake up call to say that you're not putting the effort into the shorts, right? Mm-hmm. Like I think that's the thing we all have to agree with. When I upload a short and it doesn't do well, gets like 500 or 200 or sometimes even 20 views, I'm like, okay, I'll give it a couple days. If it doesn't pick up, then I fucked up, right? And I can usually tell like which ones that are. I'm like, yeah, okay, well that one I did hone in a little bit. Like I can admit that. But I think on YouTube, it's like, as we said earlier, it's not all about that, right? It's the momentum, it's the consistency, releasing every week to become better. On Twitch, it's the same. It's like there's no real discovery factory anymore.
Yeah.
So, I would say that's probably a pretty big one that people think low numbers means bad content, but maybe it depends on the platform though. Like, I don't know.
Mick, do you think myth or not?
I think it's very easy to let numbers shape your thinking and kind of rule you. So it happens constantly. But I think it also, you need to have that self-confidence in yourself that like, even though I may be getting low views right now, like you generally are able to reflect if you like acknowledge you're improving after every piece of content, that is just something you have to keep consistent with. Like Eljay was saying before, right? People are expecting that immediate result, like overnight after one video. And if they don't see it, they're like, nah, I'm done. Like I'm just not good enough, or it's just not working. But I think it's the same thing as don't judge a book by its cover, Like when you go to someone's channel and they have, a low follower count, or they have, you see the average viewers aren't great at that point in time when you find them. It's very easy to quickly judge that person based on that without actually looking at their content and seeing, is it actually good or is it actually providing value?
Yep. Agreed. I could think it's a complete fantasy that if you believe that you're a bad creator or other people are bad creators because they got low numbers on their videos or low viewer counts, I think that that's a very stupid take to have, because again, everybody starts somewhere, and what you may be seeing in front of you is literally the start of somebody who could pop off at any single time, right? Because all it takes is like a share from a big creator, like what happened with, Moist Critical, or sorry, Jacksepticeye with PewDiePie. And then obviously, you're in the favor of a lot of big creators out there because what you did is amazing. And it's just hard to get people to, get on board with somebody who's new that they don't really know. And I think that that's what you have to think of when you go into any video, stream, TikTok, whatever it is. You've got to try and take out what you see of, because this only got 5 views, this isn't worth my time, and go, actually, they're doing something here that is really kind of new or inspiring and I can use in my own work that I can, hopefully show to the world. And that's what I would say for a lot of people is if you yourself are in a position where you're getting a low view count or you're getting a low whatever it is, please do not be like what we've talked about and just give up. Because again, everybody starts with 0 views, man, and is the hardest thing to be on the ground floor and try and get up to the roof. And it's the journey that along the way that you're going to learn everything about if you truly want to be a content creator. Because I do think
most people don't.
Exactly. I think people just want that immediate, satisfaction, that immediate view. Like if I don't make it in a month, then I tried my best and I did all that I could. When everything in life takes a lot of time, you don't just rise up to be CEO of a company in a week and go, oh man, it took more than a month. I'm a failure at this. And I guess that's the mentality of content creation, because things blow up overnight. I don't think you can ever go into an office and see, wow, Judy, she really, the work she did over the past week, that she should definitely have $50,000 more in her bank account or on her salary for that. Well, with content creation, it is out there to view and obviously critique. I think it's easy to critique.
I guess it looks like, I kind of want to, you mentioned something that I guess it looks like things blow up overnight, right? It's kind of like someone learning to juggle, right? You go out in the street, you're walking down the river, right, through the CBD, and there's all these street performers, right? And they're all incredibly talented. This guy's painting an amazing painting. This guy's juggling over here. This guy's playing the guitar. And it looks like all these people are just so fucking talented, right? And someone sees one and goes, I'm going to pick you up and turn you into a star, all right? I'm going to make you the next Guy Sebastian, little ANZ reference. And then it's like, oh my God, Guy Sebastian blew up overnight to become a star in the Australian music industry. And it's like, no, he didn't. He learned guitar when he was a teenager. He learned how to sing when he was older. He spent years and years and years busking his ass before finally someone noticed it and gave him a break. And I think that a lot of people still see people pick up and blow up overnight, and they think of it as a virality or like this idea that anyone can just randomly get lucky. And it's like, no, dude, it's like you are uploading. If we talk about content, say you upload every week, 52 weeks, like I said, right? You'd say, okay, those are 52 lotto tickets, right? This is the example that so many creators give. You get 52 lotto tickets. Every video is a lotto ticket to win the lotto of being discovered and blowing up. But that's not true either, right? Your first video probably isn't even worth 1 lotto ticket.
Yeah.
But your 50-second video might be worth 100 lotto tickets because it's so much fucking better than your first video.
Amen.
Right?
Yep.
And I think one of the things that frustrates me a lot is that people do think of it as, I'm going to upload like 5 videos and one of them's going to blow the fuck up overnight and I'm going to be huge. And it's like, dude, if you upload 5 videos and one of them blows up and you get millions of views, congratulations, you've just killed your career, because there's no way in hell you're going to know how to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
That is luck. 5 videos and 1 blowing up is luck. 50 videos and 1 blowing up, that is hard work and perseverance.
Yep. How do you work the lucky you get? I live by that every single day.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that, because I feel like when you say those words, people will not understand it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I know you get it.
You are right to make that distinction, because yes, I think everything that you have learned up to that point, people are like, oh, you're just a talent. You were born for this. You know what I mean? When it's actually all the hours behind the scenes that you've done to make yourself presentable, to make yourself have that little X factor that you didn't have compared to somebody else in the same sphere. It's all those things that you do that when opportunity comes knocking, it's like, I'm ready. I've trained, I should say, but I've done all the things that I can do.
Trained.
Yeah. I'm
absolutely
ready to take this opportunity and do the best with it that I can.
Well, it's like if you look at it this way, it's like I feel like one of those really tough things to understand is the idea of why you were successful, right? Virality, there's no real reason as to why you were successful.
Yeah.
But if you're successful after 50 videos, you can understand why. You know what I mean? Like, if we look at it this way, I do this thing where every time I upload a video, I do write down something I tried, what I learned, and whether it was a success, right? And so if you look at the Magikarp video that I uploaded last week, that was the most successful video on the Eljay YouTube channel so far because it got 1,100 views in browse within 24 hours.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Which is huge, especially after like 4 Pokemon videos, right? 3 that I've actually edited myself. The rest was done by someone else. But these ones there's a lot more care and time going into them because it's obviously I'm working on my own stuff. But 1,100 views is huge for me, right? And I sat down and I was doing my post-upload kind of autopsy as to why was it successful? Why did it do well? Why did this appeal? And I kind of came to this conclusion of like, okay, so these other ones had these things, but this one has this. And there's a reason why it did well. And it kind of came down to the idea of anyone can go and rank Pokemon starters. Anyone can go and do a tier list about who they can beat in a fight. Anyone can do 15 minutes catching and then battle, right? Yep. And technically, anyone can catch 100 Magikarp and go and trade them. But mine was my own little unique story, right? People aren't really running around doing that a lot. You know what I mean? There's no point to doing it, to be entirely honest. The only reason you do it is if you were just having a stupid, silly, fun challenge. So there was this kind of unique lack of seriousness, lack of challenge, but there was still a story to be told. There were still hurdles there. There was still fun to do it. And I kind of came to this realization that people were clicking and watching it because, well, it's just kind of uniquely dumb. And like they were watching all the way through because they saw that it took hours to catch them. And then they get to see this fun payoff as I go through and see everything that comes back, right? Yeah. It's a good little journey to go on. And I don't know, I think that if I'd uploaded that Magikarp one and it had just gone fucking a million of views, I wouldn't have, and I didn't have my previous experience with Stream Scheme, I wouldn't know why that one did millions, you know? It'd be very easy to go, must be my personality, I must be a god. And it's like, but now that I've done 5 videos and that one did well, I go, oh, a small success.
Yeah.
I can see why the small success was powerful and I can incorporate it into my next one.
Yeah,
very true.
I watched that Magikarp Wonder Trade video, and it was good because like all your experience thus far led to that video off the bat. Like, sorry, what's the what? God, I had the word in my head. You gave it a more chance to succeed from the get go because of your experience and the work that you put into it. And you created a good narrative of that video, a good packaged narrative from start to finish.
Well, I think that's also the power of doing a piece of content offline as well. In the sense that like I did the whole thing offline and I was able to craft it into something that was a good story.
Yeah.
I think editing stream content can be very, very difficult to do. I actually think that the majority of people, if they're trying to start a YouTube channel, should not start a YouTube channel using streaming recording footage. They should do it by using offline recorded content and be very careful about thinking, okay, what is my story here? How do I tell this story? And what should I record and include? And like, you know, I just think that a lot of people they're going to struggle to edit stream footage compared to just editing some nice, clean footage that they can then do voiceover to help tell the story.
And
you know
it's
what I mean?
much easier to do. It's so much easier to do when you actually recording something for the fact of editing rather than taking a 5-hour stream and trying to condense it into a 10-minute video. It's just... Oh, it's messy.
Like if you remove all the distractions and things like that and talking to chat that makes it impossible to edit the footage, even if you just get rid of all that as a reason why it's easier and just focus on the idea of I have a stream deck in front of me, right? And this whole time we've been recording, I have to keep stopping myself every time someone says something that I like because I have a button here that is a start-stop recording. And when I'm recording offline for a video, the moment I stole this from Donkey he talked about this on a podcast. When he's recording offline for a video, the moment something funny, epic, amazing, something that would be included in the video, he hits stop recording. So that way, everything that matters to him, he can just go to the end of the clips that he has. And he knows at the end of every clip he has, there'll be something worth including. And that's just so good, right? Whereas you can't do that with a stream.
No, you cannot. You can only put like markers in, and hopefully that syncs up. And even then, it's a journey.
Well, even then, you got 5 hours you're importing, right? Like and scrubbing and
mate, it is the worst. Premiere Pro is not like that. I was gonna say I've done a few of mine. I've got one more, but I'm gonna say that to the very end. Does anybody else want to come up with a myth?
Yeah, I've done a few. If you want to go, Nick.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I prepared some extra ones as well. I guess it's a few of the ones I've got listed here kind of all sort of relate to some of the things that we've talked about. But one of the ones I've got here is that your content has to be the best at the beginning of your journey, which is not true. It's just straight up not true. Like you don't obviously you need to pay attention to what other people are doing that you're like the type of content that you're making. You want to see what other people are doing. But at the end of the day, you need to put in the work to get better at it in the first place. So many people get hung up on, not posting the video because of the fear, either the fear of failure or the fear of success. And they just think that, they see all these other creators making content for what they're planning to do. And they look at theirs and go, mine's not good enough. No one's going to watch it. Mm-hmm. But you need to put it out there. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. As Eljay mentioned before, took ages for Point Crow to grow, but he was consistent, and then his original videos still started to get views. Your content doesn't have to be the best. It still has to be obviously packageable. It still has to be engaging enough to make someone want to click on it, but it doesn't have to be the most amazing thing ever off the bat.
I think to add to that, what I want to add to that is I think people are going to, at least if to me, I think, and this just comes from the fact that I've spent so long talking to the new creators that I feel like I'm starting to become very good at realizing what they're going to hear, right? Here's the thing. You don't have to have the highest production value, the highest quality, all those sorts of stuff, right? You don't have to have all those things. You don't have to have the best editing. You don't have to have the best story. You don't have to have the best graphics, all that stuff. But I will say one thing you should work on doing from day one, right? And if you're not working on doing this, then it's kind of pointless. And that is bringing something unique or valuable to what you're uploading, right? If this is from a Doug video that I sent you as well, Reapz, that I think everyone should watch. But he said something really interesting. He was saying if you have 100 hamburger restaurants in a giant food court, right? And everyone is giving away hamburgers for free. And the most popular hamburger restaurant in that 100-person food court is Five Guys, right? And you fucking love hamburgers. You want to open a hamburger restaurant as well right now. Even though it's oversaturated, you don't care. You love it, right? Which is content creation. So you go and you open the 101st hamburger restaurant in that food court. And you think, okay, the most popular one is Five Guys. I'm going to make content like Five Guys because that's what the most popular one is. No one's going to go and watch. No one's going to go and eat your hamburger. And in that case, the same comes through. No one's going to watch your content.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. They're not going to Five Guys because it has the highest quality grills and the highest quality buns and all those sorts of things. They're going there because they like the taste and they know if they go back next time, they'll still enjoy the taste, right? So what do you have to do? Well, you have to find the people who like your taste. Find your own unique voice, your own unique concept, right? People aren't going to break away from going to Five Guys to go eat your version of Five Guys, right? And what he said, Doug said in his video was, the best way to do this is to take two things you fucking love and merge them together, create fusion cuisine, right? So you love smash patty burgers, but you also love Italian, okay? You're going to make spaghetti Italian hamburgers. They may taste disgusting right now, but they could also really appeal to that tiny 15% of people.
Yeah.
And that tiny 15% of people will slowly stick around because they fucking love your weird little flavor. So it's like, yeah, it's
so
like, it's not a matter of like being the best. It's a matter of having a unique voice that will stand out amongst the other 100 burger places as a reason to keep coming back to you rather than going to Five Guys again for the safe, easy flavor.
I'm inspired. And I'm not sure if it's just because we're talking about hamburgers, but I'm inspired. I remember this thing of back in the day, I forget which actual company it was. It may be an IBM, but there was a big computer market, right? And they were like, oh, everyone's selling computers. And another person wanted to get into the field. Let's just say it's IBM. I could be completely wrong about this. But they're like, how can we compete against these big ass like computer companies, right? And they're like, well, how about we do made to order computers where they can call in and we will make it for them and send it out, right? And that's how they got their foot in the market. Not because it was kind of like it is the best, highest quality computer, but because it was made for them, right? That's such a big component. Somebody was making a computer for them. And I think if you can do that with content creation, make videos for people, AKA for you, that will obviously, you know, hit that same bell with somebody else, then you are going to stand out a lot better. And with that whole burger thing, it can be as simple as making your burger buns a different color. You know what I mean? Like, remember the whole thing with White Castle was making the burgers square instead of like round? And they're like, that's unique. I'm going to go eat there because it just looks a little bit different. And I think on Nick's main point of like, people think they have to release the highest quality things. Obviously, if you can, do it. But I know a big hurdle for me, and this may be the same with you boys, is that sometimes I go into the state of being a perfectionist, and it's like, I can't release it until I get this look, or I get this transition right. And then you go over it and over and over it, and you're staring for it for so long that it loses all meaning to you, and you start cutting things or changing things around, which completely ruins the flow because you think, oh, I'm so bored of seeing this, and I've seen it so many times that people must think it's uninteresting as well. But the fact that if you put it out there and you let it go, and then you come back in 2 weeks and look back and go, actually, I was right and maybe wanted to change this. Because I think that when you start off, you don't really know what packageable product you're putting out there at the time. And the biggest thing that you can take away from it is putting something out there and learning from it, rather than just leaving it in your timeline, looking over it every single day, making little tweaks that people won't even fucking notice, and then just obviously leaving it to the ether because it's too late. The topic you were talking about is no longer interested. Pokemon cards, you know, that was a big thing last year or the year beforehand. And you've waited all this time, and now you're going to release your Pokemon card thing, and oh, the traction's not there. The fad is gone. That's what I think is a big misstep.
I think there's a fine balance as well, though. Okay, so like, yes, I 100% agree with everything. But I think on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, if you're releasing content just for the sake of releasing content, then you're already dooming yourself to fail as well. Like, I think like a big question you should ask yourself is, do you actually enjoy watching your own video back as well? Like, I enjoy watching Stream Scheme back, but there are definitely videos I enjoy watching from Stream Scheme way more than others. And like that's a big sign for me, right? Because I'm trying to make content both for myself and for a different audience. But on the Eljay YouTube, I couldn't really, the other editor was talented and that's fine, but I couldn't really, I enjoyed them, but I couldn't really watch them multiple times.
Yeah.
Well, the stuff that he was giving me. But this last 3-4 videos that I've released that are mine, I actually really love watching them back. Like, the Magikarp video I watched yesterday without speeding up, without skipping, and I laughed. I laughed the whole way through, right? And like, while I'm editing this next one that goes out, which is I used AI to generate a bunch of fake Pokemon, and then I had my wife come in and try and decide if they were real or fake, real or fake Pokemon.
Quick aside, was that the one that you sent me that just looked like an abomination?
Yes, yeah. Good. But that was one of the funny ones. That wasn't one of the actual like good ones. But like, so like she comes in and like, I'm like, okay, do you think this is real or fake? And she's like, that's gotta be fake. It's gotta be fake. Or is it, you know? And it's like saying all these funny liners and like giving them names and stuff. Like she called one of them, which I think is just the funniest thing ever, right? Yeah. And I've had to bleep that. And it's just like, there's all these funny one-liners. And like, as I'm editing, I'm actually having fun and I'm laughing at it and I'm enjoying myself. And I think that a lot of people think of making content and they think of streaming and they think of YouTube and they think of all these things and they don't realize they're doing it just for the sake of doing it. And like, legitimately, if you don't love what you're doing, you're probably going to fail as well. Not because you're bad at what you're doing, but because you're not going to want to keep doing it while you have 0 views coming in.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I legitimately think like really heavily people need to ask themselves, hey, do I enjoy watching this back? Yes or no? And why did I not enjoy it, or why do I enjoy it? And do I actually want to do this, or am I just doing this because I'm supposed to do this? You know what I mean? I was talking to some guy, he goes, yeah, I release videos weekly. And I was like, oh, yeah, it must be fun. He goes, no, I hate it. And I'm like, well, why are you doing it? And he goes, well, I want to grow my Twitch stream. And I was like, well, there's no point to it then. I was like, there's no point to it. If you're not enjoying doing it, no one else is going to enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like it's a fine line between just getting stuff out there, but also like what's the point of uploading something if you're not even enjoying it yourself? No one else is going to.
Very good point.
You have to be enjoying and liking what you're actually making, because we've said lots of times, like when you when you've decided on the type of content you want to make, you're making the kind of thing that you would want to watch. Which is why Eljay, you were able to watch the videos back that you made and edited, and you're like, I enjoyed that. That's a lot of fun. Even the video that I just released with the Logitech mice review, like I'd be as the video started to come together in the edit, and then I'd play and watch back like a part that I just edited, and then sometimes I'd catch myself just sitting there watching the rest of it. Then okay, hang on, wait, I'm gonna pause this and keep going. So it's just like it was already just starting to engage me. Just passively, just from in the editing process. And I knew that I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely on the right track, and this is turning out really well and kind of how I envisioned it to be.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Nick, how about we throw back to you? Do you have another one?
Yeah. Yes. These ones I think kind of go hand in hand, where people, I think a lot of people think that just by niching that streaming is enough.
Mm-hmm.
That let me explain that a little bit. So essentially, okay, so people look at, they think, okay, variety streamers have the most fun because they can play anything, but then they listen to, say our advice, for example, about, that, we recommend niching because you're keeping to the same kind of content. So when people come back, they know what to expect. And then they think that's enough. They think they don't have to do anything else. They don't have to diversify and make content on other platforms, like network on other platforms, not just with other streamers in general. And while that may have been true like years ago, but now with how saturated it all is, it's just not like the myth. Like that's the myth, is it's just not enough. Like I think
people just also don't know what the word niche actually means. I think it's another big thing. I think people look at niching and they think it's like just play one game, but it's like just not how it works. Like they completely misunderstand it. So like this is a copy pasta that I have for when people bring up niching in the Stream Scheme Discord, because inherently the idea of variety versus niche, no one actually gets it. They think niching is just one game, but it's like not the case whatsoever.
No.
And they think that variety means literally play whatever you want, but it's not the case whatsoever. You will always have a niche, even as a variety creator. And
Correct.
so this is this thing that I give to people, and it's still, no matter how many times I explain it, it's never going to be something that gets widely spread. But essentially, it's so important to remember variety doesn't mean different games, and niche doesn't mean one single game. Variety means you do different types of content, but as a variety streamer, you still have a key demographic you make content towards. A niche is just a key demographic of people, right? If people like watching you play survival strategy challenge games, then hard swapping to play only FPS games won't connect those two audiences. So the first step to understanding a niche and variety is to define who your audience is and what they like to watch, absorb, play, and then make content that would appeal to them. Most of the time when you start out, you are your own audience, so understand what appeals to you. But if someone likes watching Breath of the Wild, well, they might also enjoy watching Mario Odyssey, and that means they might also like watching Pokemon. And that also could connect to things like Hollow Knight, because that's a heavily played game on the Switch. The hard part is explaining to someone, hey, focus on one topic or theme, not focus on one game. But the concept should be make content for a demographic of people and what they enjoy, not on a single game or a single niche, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's such an inherently difficult concept for people to grasp. And I think it's because it's almost impossible to explain.
Yeah.
Like in a weird way. Like it's just so, because now like you say that, right? And people go, okay, so I'll go play Breath of the Wild. And it's like, no!
I think it's also future-proofing yourself as well. Because you can look at certain YouTube channels who just focused on Fortnite, right? Like that was what blew them up, right? And they're like, boom, 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 boom. And then Fortnite, obviously, like any kind of game franchise, it dips. And obviously their channel then dips. But they still keep making those Fortnite videos, right? Well, if they changed over to something else, say Warzone or whatever it was, but still in like the Battle Royale thing, they could have seen it maybe pick up a bit. I'm not saying that's true or not. I'm just trying to give an example. And there are people who are willing to die on their sword, sticking with something and not being malleable enough or adapting that makes them no longer prevalent in what they want to do. And by being in a niche rather than in a game, that's the difference, right? Are you going to die if you're still playing one thing or expand?
That's a really good way, because this is something I had to explain to someone as well. Someone recently was like, oh, someone said, how do you niche down? And someone else in the Discord had replied to them and said, well, you have people who play League of Legends, then you have League of Legends who want to learn how to play certain characters, certain items. You're niching by creating content about how to make those items, how to play those characters in League of Legends. And I was like, no,
that's very
not
specific.
At all. It's like, and they were like, so you target that? And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. I had to come in and be like, hey, sorry, you're a little bit wrong there. A better example would be you want to make gaming content. You have gamers, right? As an overall.
Yeah.
But then inside that, you have a smaller section of gamers who like Nintendo, right? But inside that, you then have a smaller section of gamers who specifically like Pokemon. But then inside that, you have a smaller section of people who like purely Pokemon Diamond or purely Pokemon Nuzlocke.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to target the Pokemon Nuzlocke community solely or the Pokemon Fire Red community solely, right? You want to target Pokemon and Nintendo as the overall demographic. But when you start out, the way you should look at it and remember is that you've got these 3 curves, okay? So imagine you have a graph, right? And on those curves, you have one curve that starts out as competition. How many people are making content around that topic, okay? And then you have another curve, and that is volume, which is how many people want to see that content, okay? And well, that's probably easy. We'll keep it simple. We'll go with those 2 for now, right? Now, when you first start out, you want to aim earlier on the graphs because that's where there's low competition. Less people are making content around it, but there's also less volume there technically, right? But you want to make sure you position yourself that you can slowly move further up the graph to where there's more competition and more people hunting for it. If you just focused only on this one individual small specific niche thing down here and you never try and move further up the graphs, well, you're going to die, right? Like that's just what it will be. But if you're really careful about where you choose to target and then slowly aim higher and higher, you succeed, right? And so Stream Scheme is a really good example of that. I started out doing really niche specific guides, how to set up CloudBot for Streamlabs, how to set up overlays, how to do this other thing, how to set up how to set up like moderation tools, like all really specific questions. Things that there are people making content around it, but the volume of people searching for it and the competition is much lower than the words how to grow on Twitch, right? But then I slowly moved further up the graph. And I think that's a really tough part that people don't realize is when they niche, there's almost like they need to have an overarching kind of larger theme and then figure out how to move their way up that theme, right? But most people just think of it as, I'm going to do really specific individual one topic, one thing. And it's like, no, that's not how we do it.
Yeah. That's what I meant to say the entire time.
No, I'm not correcting you.
No. I'm taking the piss. But no, that's another myth in itself as well. It's like, what you said of what people define as niching is, of just playing one game or doing one specific thing. While yes, that technically is a niche, but when we're in the context that we're talking about, that's not what we mean. It's about finding the demographic or finding the overarching idea that all connects together, and then being able to do a bunch of different things within that group. So that's something like another thought about. And then last thing that I had is, I think the classic one that we've talked about many times, that people I think still to this day let get them better themselves, is that the Twitch partner tick holds all the power. That's the end goal.
Yeah.
Does anyone want mine? Fucking take it.
Yeah.
You should put it on eBay. See how much you get for it.
I just want to say on this topic of the partner badge real quick. I should say, if people are listening to this, I apologize if I'm coming off extra heated today or extra frustrated or maybe a bit harsher than normal. I'm just, really passionate about the amount of misinformation that people have, because I feel like that's the reason why most people don't grow, is they have these myths. And then B, I'm just really, really frustrated at Twitch and specifically the Twitch platform. Like, we're not going to go into it, but at the same time, I think that, to me personally, the Twitch ANZ platform has taken a massive blow this past week, and I am just angry. I'm just really fucking angry at the entire community and the entire space, and I'm so glad that I'm not in it anymore. Like, they just announced this massive thing that's happening in our space in one of my favorite games, and someone was like, Reapz messaged me, and another person messaged me, was like, are you going to be a part of that? Are you going to sign up for that? I'm like, no, fuck no. Like, I don't want anything to do with the space anymore, right? I've been enjoying the last 3 weeks where I get to make my own personal content that I think is fun, Like, and I don't give a fuck about all of that shit that's happening over there, or all the new drama that's on this feature and shit. And I don't know. I'm feeling really frustrated at the space, and I just wish it was better, because I used to love the Twitch space.
Yeah.
And now I go there and I'm like, where content?
Yeah.
Where fun thing, you know? Like, it's like the monkey walking in meme, and it's like, where banana? It's
I think it's goes hand in hand with what's going on with the viewers declining, income declining, more ads. It's definitely like a low spot at the moment for Twitch in general, and we can see it all around the board. And I feel that's reflecting in a lot of people's content as well, is you can see it. You can see people are just kind of clocking in and clocking out, not giving it the zest that they used to. And again, you know, everything comes in waves, and it will pick up, it'll go down. But it is kind of disheartening to see, especially with, I know what you're talking about, that is not being fully addressed. And I'm not going to go obviously into it, because again, it's something for the individuals. But I do believe on the original point that Nick had of the partner badge, it's like what we're talking about before, is creators have your best interests at heart. And if they have the tick next to their name, well, that means they're of the highest quality. Oh my God, you go to like a BWS and you're like, oh my God, get me the finest of scotches. This one must be the best because it has a tick on it. And you're like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, it's ridiculous. And
you know, it's funny. The people who make the best quality content, I find, are the people riding 70 average, because they want that fucking badge. And they're like, they have to put all this effort in. They're like, I want that badge.
Yeah.
And so they sit there at 70, fucking grinding, trying to make amazing content. And then they hit the badge and they're like, I am now going to do Let's Play content, and I'm barely going to read chat.
Yep. Yep. It is
100%.
the way. And I think that's the thing as well. Like, when it comes to streaming, is if you're streaming, let's just say 40 hours a week, let's just say it's an average job, and you're doing a crazy 40-hour a week stream, how can you possibly be that entertaining or that energetic or whatever it is when it comes to quality? You can't. You literally cannot be that entertaining for 40 hours a week. I think a lot of people who even go, oh, well, you know, XQC does that. He does like 12-hour streams, or, you know, Kai Cenat does that. He does 12-hour streams. I think our definition of what entertainment is, or quality of entertainment, is completely different. And
subjective, right? People enjoy
subjective.
They enjoy different things.
Yeah, without a doubt. But to me, it's completely different. Well, I think if you show a video to someone, you can get a lot better kind of feedback from it. For instance, you show them this video that's 5 minutes and this video that's 5 minutes about the same subject. Let's just say Mario Odyssey, right? You can easily tell, I think, a lot easier which has more quality and which is better to watch. While with streaming, I think it's a lot harder to put this stream against this stream and go, which is of higher quality. Yeah. Because, you know, it's 5 minutes within an 8-hour stream or something. It's like there's going to be downtimes, there's going to be uptimes. And I guess that's the big thing. Yeah.
That's a really good point. I know, I think I am definitely being far too harsh personally. Like, I know I am being far too harsh about the platforms, the space, the content, the situation that is going. Well, commenters will not.
Yeah.
Eljay, do you have any more myths on your list? Was that your last one, Nick? Apologies, I didn't want to.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I've got too many. I wrote like 8 down. And I've only gone through one.
Oh shit! Okay. Well, feel free.
I won't do them all. Okay.
Well, pick out your best ones and throw it at us.
My best ones? How am I supposed to know my best ones?
Pick out the ones that you think are the biggest myths out there that a lot of people have heard. How about that?
Okay. Before that, though, since we were talking about drama a second ago and some intensity and some other stuff like that.
Yep.
Did you guys hear about the stuff with Hava?
No. What's this?
Have a nice day. Got him.
I knew it. I was like, he's gonna twist into a D's nuts joke, but
no. I just wanted to.
It was a nice.
I just wanted to have a palate cleanser. Just tell you guys, have a nice day.
All right, guys. We needed some positivity, some change.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm feeling jaded today, and I'm getting a bit passionate. So I think people.
I think that's what people are here for, right? They don't want to see fence sitters. They want to see pure, unadulterated takes.
We have had comments comments in the past saying that when we're critical, we're tearing people down and it's not good. So I'm reading all these comments and I'm hesitant. I don't want to upset people, but at the same time, if you're not saying something worth someone having a response to, what's the point of talking, right? Not like causing drama, but
No.
if you're not actually saying anything worth someone actually caring about or having an emotional response, then why are you talking, right?
Yeah.
I guess one of my biggest myths probably has to do with the fact that I mentioned it earlier, but the big one is I think a lot of people don't want to be content creators, but they have a sunken cost fallacy. I see this a lot in the Stream Scheme Discord. People who have been there for like a year, and to be honest, they're not. They feel like they're putting all the time and energy in, but they're really not. You know what I mean? And they'll be like, oh, I want to find more ways to talk. And I'll be like, hey, spend every day, record yourself 10 minutes, watch it back the next day, record another 10 minutes, practice this, do it over and over and over. And they'll be like, oh yeah, I tried that, did it for 3 days, and I fell off. And I'm like, I feel like sometimes just like grabbing them by the shoulders and being like, if you want to be a creator, how can you not spend 20 minutes on the most important skill? You know what I mean? And I realized recently, I think it's because they don't actually want to be a creator. Is that weird to say?
No.
Like, I feel like this is like a big thing is like we love the idea of watching content, being on YouTube and seeing all this stuff, but we don't actually enjoy making it. And I think you figure that out pretty quickly when you start creating content and having success and then realizing that you didn't like the topic you're covering.
Yeah. I understand.
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost this, how do I phrase it? Almost social pressure, but it's definitely like it's become the cool thing to do, like to make content. And because like, a lot of the hurdles and boundaries like have been dropped completely. Like streaming is genuinely a lot easier to get into. There's tutorials, there's, assets, free assets, there's paid assets for like, that are super affordable. And then, in terms of like a video, right? You can pick up some super basic editing. There's free tools out there. So the entry level is a lot lower. So a lot more people are trying it. And because I think like, yeah, it's like a cool thing to do. It's like, oh yeah, like I started streaming. Like, oh, that's cool, man. Sick. Awesome. So that's, I think, and then realize that they don't actually enjoy it as much.
I agree.
I just think that like last week we talked about the Reggie, good old Reggie from Nintendo, and his sentence of, if it's not fun, why bother?
Yeah.
And I find that's like a big thing. It's like, if it's not fun, why are we doing it, right? If it's not your job to make content, right, then it's still a hobby, and hobbies are meant to be somewhat enjoyable.
Yeah.
But I find that so many people I talk to nowadays, they're just not enjoying themselves. They don't enjoy the actual act of creating, right? And I don't want to tell anyone you should or shouldn't be a creator. That's not my position to say. This is just a myth that I think a lot of people that I'm seeing is that people think that it's not supposed to be fun. But the reality is yeah, there are going to be parts that are difficult.
Yeah.
But at its base, you are supposed to enjoy the process.
Yes. Definitely.
And I just feel like so many people just aren't enjoying themselves. And it's like I ran a poll. I got like 8,000 people replying to it. And like 30% of the 8,000 said no, they don't enjoy creating content. The poll was specifically worded as like, if you create content, do you enjoy it?
Yeah.
And everyone who replied was like, in the comments being like, yeah, not really, but I'm trying to grow. And it's like... It's like, okay, you do whatever you want to do. That's cool. It's not my position to tell you if you should or shouldn't be doing it. That's not what I'm trying to say. But it's like, I just wish you guys had fun.
Yeah.
I just want I want you people to have fun, damn it.
Content creation isn't like the run-of-the-mill office job that you're doing just to make ends meet or just to, work up to getting a better job. It's not that. Like you have to you have the power to like what you're doing from the start.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that what we're all working towards, is a job that you enjoy going to? Because I know, but I'd also like to touch on the fact that I think what a lot of people go into is that they love creating or love playing games or whatever it is that got them into content creation, if they're doing a gaming channel or whatever. And then once they do that every single hour of their day, like there's the stuff for creation and then there's the stuff offline, I can understand when it becomes like, I'm just over playing games, man. Like what used to be a hobby for me is now my job. And because it's a job that I have to get an income from, I have less kind of love going into it. Because I know for me, when it is that time, it's like I've got like the afternoon free or the evening free or like a day free. It's like, I'm going to play this game. And then I'm like, well, if I'm playing this game, should I just be like recording it or like something so I can make a video out of it? And I find it very hard to separate like doing something for my own kind of enjoyment and also for the fact of like, oh, this would actually make good content, so I shouldn't play it offline. I should make it fresh and, you know, do it here, there, or the other, which is a stupid thing to do. And I know that's
why
also,
I'm loving my box.
Yeah.
That's why I'm loving my box, right?
Yeah.
I'm in my box now. When I go to play Floodlands or RimWorld or Somerville, I don't need to record it. It doesn't fit my box.
Okay.
Right? Everything outside of my box, I can just enjoy.
Yeah.
Right? And I just stay in my little topic box, and anything in that, maybe I consider doing it. But otherwise, just fucking vibe, man. Like, I'm good. But I think the problem is, if you don't have your box, then everything could be fitting into it. And it almost like ruins the creative process, because you're like, oh, I have so many options of should I do this? Should I do that? And it's like, you know what? Overwatch 2 just dropped. I'm going to play it. It doesn't fit my box. I'm a vibe.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There's definitely things outside the box, and you're right. And that's the kind of mentality I have to take, because like in the back of my mind, I haven't played God of War 1, right? The reboot of God of War, right? And I was like, I really want to play that. But I was like, maybe that would be a good stream, because it's kind of like a journey. It's an RPG. I can make a story thing. But I'm like, no, I don't want to play a 30-hour like beat 'em up game. I don't think it's my niche. I don't think I'll get a lot of content out of it. And I still feel guilty of the fact of like, I haven't even set up my PS4 to play it, right? Because I'm just like, no, I should be doing other things. And I think that's the reason why I think a lot of people that want to do content creation, they can grow to hate it, because they're like, oh, now the things that I enjoyed, which were a hobby for me, which were fun with friends, is now literally a job that I'm trying to get content out of. And because of that, I've got to approach it like this and do this, that, and the other. But you are completely correct in the aspect of like, content creation should be enjoyable, because as we said in the past, there is no better feeling than putting work into something, putting it out there in the world, and seeing returns and other people enjoying it. That is the best feeling ever for me.
It's also why I think why last week. So if anyone doesn't know, each week we take turns coming up with a topic.
Yeah.
And we all know that there are certain topics that are going to do far better on this channel. Some new drama about a Twitch update, maybe a creator said something. We could do that. We'll get clicks. But it's why last week, when it was my week, I was like, hey guys, it's going to do trash. I know it's going to do trash. It's not going to get as many views as the other stuff, but I want to do a video, a podcast entirely about gaming. And you guys are like, okay, cool, yeah. And like going into it, we knew it'd be rough, but at the same time, I don't think anyone here wants to be a channel where all we do is talk about the drama and the news and the industry and all that stuff. Like we all want to be able to just chat about what's going on, but then also have a laugh, have some fun, cover things we enjoy, and be more driven by that personality side. Which is why it's fun to do that. You know what I mean? And it's like last week was really fun to talk about stuff and talk about ideas, and to also hear everyone's personal opinions that they had in the comments about their game of the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's great. And if we didn't do stuff like that, I don't think we'd be doing this podcast for very long. I think we'd all be like, do we really want to go live and talk about the new big fucking Twitch failure?
Yeah.
It's like,
No, it's a nice change of pace, and that's and we've always like said from the beginning as well, like, you know, we do want to be able to branch out on this podcast and be able to talk about some other things, not just content creation, because eventually you're gonna hit the wall. Like there's not gonna be anything new to talk about content creation wise, unless something happens or a change happens, new platform rises, dies, etc., etc.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough as well. But again, I think that's us as well, like future-proofing, because there's times that we go offline from doing our podcast and then we talk for like another hour or so, just about random shit, which is great. And that's what we're kind of going for, is that hopefully if you like what we do or like our takes or opinions, or even if you don't like them, but you feel like it gives you some sort of different perspective, that's really cool. Like that's what we're really after. And I really did like doing that gaming one, for the simple fact that it made me reminisce about all the awesome games that I kind of want to replay or haven't played. And because of your suggestion of The Looker, played that on stream. It was a blast.
Oh, when did you play that?
I did. No, I'd only played, what I got confused with was the one that it was parodying.
The Witness,
right. And then when you talked about it, I was like, oh, this is a parody one. So I checked up and I was like, this is supposed to be a power of the witness.
Did you play it this week?
I played it this week.
Oh, yeah, I missed it.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday?
It was like two streams ago, 3 streams ago, something like that. It was great.
This is my problem.
People loved it.
I don't even go to Twitch anymore.
No, understandable.
When I type T in my search bar now, it sends me to the Pornhub. No,
The Pornhub. My God,
it's a ripoff of the.
Yeah.
No, so I never even see if people are live, which I think is also a massive myth, by the way. Quickly, I'll talk about this in a second. But you can keep going. I just want to say, someone remind me in like 5 minutes to talk about the myth of the fact that people are fucking going to Twitch to watch live streams.
Yeah. No, for
going.
me, it was the fact of I just played the looker and I had such a blast. It was like a 2-hour kind of playthrough. Chat was telling me how dumb I was, and it was great. I drew penises on maps, and the door opened magically. It was great.
That's beautiful.
Something
Absolutely
we're
beautiful.
all really after in life is drawing penises and access granted. So it was a lot of fun. And that was from literally the podcast we did last week. And again, reading the comments as well of people saying that I like this game, I like this game. It's cool, man. Like, again, this is going to be an all-expanding thing about content creation and gaming. And we hope you're along for the ride because we've got so much to say. That's all I want to do.
Did you do the tape recorders?
Yeah, I think, yes.
Some of them are so long and dry and drawn out. And I was like halfway through one and I was like, I'll just turn it off. And I had been going for like 5 minutes. I was like, I'll just turn it off. And I walked over and drew the line again. And it just started from the start. And I've never peaked so hard in my mic than the visceral scream I let out when I heard him restart because I thought I was turning it off. Like legitimately lost my mind.
It is great. It's like so meta that it's like fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, I did cheat on the very last puzzle. I was like, this is gonna take me forever. And I know that it was like to go into the maze and stuff. But anyway, I did that for the sake of brevity. Yeah. The one was
I
like,
had to figure that shit.
What order do I have got to do it? So I was like, I can't be asked.
How long did it take you?
How long did it take? I did it about half an hour, and I kept walking back.
No, I mean the whole thing.
The whole game.
Yeah.
Like around 2 hours, something like that.
Took me 55 minutes, start to scratch, no cheating.
Oh, wow. Look at
him go. Brush it off his shoulder.
Just also didn't need to cheat in Toilet Chronicles. Hands up here who cheated in Toilet Chronicles.
Toilet Chronicles. I
Oh,
cannot
sorry.
help.
Okay, hold on. Let's do it a different way then. Hands up if you didn't cheat. Hey, put it down.
What do you mean? How did I? Oh, okay. Wait.
Your chat literally said, there's an orange 2 there. And you were like, oh, thanks.
I know. How can I? Well, this is my chat, right? They say things. I can't ignore them. And once I've seen it, it's not like I can wipe it from my memory like a goldfish. God. All I can,
I count it as cheating.
Clearly, Reapz, you needed to ignore your chat the entire time.
Sure.
So that way
be like a YouTube streamer.
Yeah.
I will. But Eljay, you said that you had another myth.
Oh, a myth that people are going to Twitch to watch streams.
Mm-hmm.
I think I talked about this maybe a few weeks ago. I think there's a massive myth that there's this concept in the world of content creation that people think that, Twitch is where you go to watch live streams. Nope.
Yeah.
Twitch is where Twitch users go.
Yeah.
Which is a tiny, minuscule drop in the water of the people on the internet. You know where people actually go every single day? Like literally, legitimately every single person who is your key demographic, where they actually go is YouTube.
Yes.
But people like you, they go to YouTube for videos. It's like, yeah. They also go to YouTube to find new creators to watch on Twitch. There are also thousands of people who have never watched a Twitch stream, who will never watch a live stream, who might like your content and see your actual stream on YouTube. Like you go to anyone's chat who started doing YouTube streams, but they had videos beforehand. And there is always a few messages going, I've never watched a stream before. This is so interesting. And that's just what it is. It's so hard to make someone leave one of the largest platforms on the planet that has on-demand, high-quality content and go, hey, come make an account on this other platform. Yeah, do it. Please do it. It's like, it's not people aren't going to do that. Right? Like, it's just impossible.
I think you're right.
A very hard conversion.
They have both. You know, you either have both kind of users on both things. You know about Twitch, you use Twitch and you use YouTube. Well, I think, as we said many times, that most people just go to YouTube and they don't even have accounts. They just, go in as a guest and click on the video and it's there.
I mean, from my own self-experience, I got shown Twitch by a friend of mine who was like, yo, my friend's live playing some Binding of Isaac. Like, that's cool. I went over, made a Twitch account, and was watching for a bit. I followed him, and then I did not go back to Twitch for like 8 months, and then it took 8 months for me to be kind of bored one night and going, oh yeah, there was Twitch, and I was like, I'll go on, and just by sheer coincidence, the guy who's now one of my very good friends, he happened to be live that night. And so I ended up sitting there watching and chatting. And that's how I started to become a regular Twitch viewer and user.
Yeah. I think mine was CivHD. I think I was a massive World of Warcraft and League of Legends player, but none of the WoW people. Oh no, Soda popping a little bit on Justin TV.
Yep.
But I think it was CivHD. My mate sent me CivHD's Twitch live stream. And I was like, oh, he's way funnier in his videos. This is shit. Yeah. But then he sent me Fasfi, who's an amazing ANZ creator who's still going. And I was like, oh, she's actually really good live.
Yeah.
This is good. She is also still really good live.
Damn. Well, so I didn't realize she'd been streaming for that long.
She's been around for fucking ages, man.
Wow.
She was a league creator back in the day. I ruined her. I ruined one of her entire community nights. I don't know if I've told this story to you, Nick, but I know Reapz has heard it because I told Fasfi this at PAX.
Oh, boy.
She walked over to our group and I said, I have to apologize to you. And she goes, oh, really? And I said, yeah. So you were one of the very first Twitch streamers I've ever watched. And she goes, this is an apology? And I was like, trust me, it gets there. And I said, do you remember a particular community night about 10 years ago when you were doing ARAMs and a bunch of 15-year-olds with a rose emblem started trolling you? And she goes, Rose Clan? And remembered it. And I was like, yeah. Because essentially she was doing ARAMs and my mate loved her streams. And he said, she's doing ARAMs. We should go play as a 5-stack and try all get into her lobbies. And so all 5 of us joined and we're on the other team and we all had a rose marker. And we were like writing like Rose Clan, woo. And we were just being 15-year-olds. So essentially we would just target her every time. Just every time in these all ARAMs, just go absolutely ham. And there's this amazing clip that I still have saved on my computer of her going, I'm going to engage. And then trying to engage, right? She takes 3 steps forward and I'm playing this LeBlanc character, which means you can do like this dash and where you land does damage. But your alt is your redo. It copies the last move you used. So your alt is whatever one of your QW, ER or whatever is, but double the strength. And all you see is me dash onto her, do like half her health, and then use my ult, which is the dash again but I do it in the exact same spot so I don't even move. And she just goes, poof, and just like, deletes. And I'm just stood in her entire team, and I just press my Zhonya's, so I go invincible, which turns you gold. So I'm just this gold statue on her body. Her whole team stood there, and she goes, I guess I'll engage next time.
Can you please send me said clip so I can put it in?
I think it's an FLV, but I'll see if I can get it for you.
If you can, I think that'd be a great thing. So you either see it or you won't. But I guess that's a good thing about the best thing about streaming, I think, is those interactions. Like when you can play with the communities. And again, you can do that on any which platform that you want. But a big thing that I think is a myth is that people may think, oh, we now hate streaming, which is simply not the fact. I think we hate the way that to remain, what's the word? Not active, but to remain
relevant.
That's the word I'm looking for, is that you have to do this, that, and the other. And I think that we're at that stage now where evergreen is the way to go over people who just go there for live interaction.
I think maybe also is probably a better way of putting it is that we don't even hate those things. It's that our personal focuses and our personal goals have shifted, right? I think a really good way of looking at it isn't necessarily that we hate what Twitch has become, we hate all these things and blah, 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 blah. Because I know we get a little bit heated, specifically I get a little bit heated talking about these things. And I don't want people to think that we look down on people who are doing certain things or anything like that, because we don't, right? Because to be honest, you guys probably...
I'm still on, Nick's still on it, yeah.
It also requires so much more energy to be able to go live 40 hours a week, right? Like there are a lot of good, powerful, amazing people out there doing great work, right? But I think one of the things is we don't hate it. It's more along the lines of we've had a bit of an awakening in the types of content we want to make and the things we've enjoyed, and that's caused us to shift our focus away. And when you shift your focus away, it's kind of like when you get out of a really toxic friendship, you suddenly realize how toxic it was.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, imagine doing something for 3-4 years and then you're like, man, I don't know if I want to be friends with that person anymore. And you get away and you start having these realizations of, that was messed up they did that. That was kind of messed up they said that to me. Man, that was really unhealthy. And it was only after taking a month break because of COVID that I realized how unhealthy the inherent grind of streaming is. No matter, even if you're doing it all the right rules, all the right ways, there is an inherent unhealthy grind to streaming. And I think that's more so what it is. It's not that we hate it or we're looking down on it. We're frustrated at the fact that we really love and respect some amazing creators, but it's almost like they're stuck on a treadmill and they can't break out of it because the industry is so unfair. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, the reason I've gotten so passionate this whole episode and so angry is because, and gone on like so many rants, it isn't because I despise it. It's that these people are so funny, so engaging, or they're working so hard at 0 viewers and making their streams look so unique and so cool. And it's like, I wish the industry was easier to see when you're inside it, how hard and how brutal it actually is. Yeah. Right? Like, you deserve to grow. And sadly, the more you're streaming right now, the less likely you are to grow. And that sucks, right? That really sucks because these people are so funny and so talented, but it's so unfair. And so, yeah, I don't think we hate it. No. I just think I see a lot of issues.
I think another myth right now is that streaming is gaming. And that is not the case. If you look at the top streamers, it is all about drama. It is all about collabs. It is all about trying to put on unique events when you're at that level, obviously, that you can do it with the high production value. And I think that a lot of people will go, gaming is streaming. Streaming is gaming. When it's really not. You go over to Twitch right now, what's going to be the number one category? Guaranteed it's just chatting, right? It's just people talking shit, reacting.
Unless there's an event on.
Yeah.
It's like a League of Legends or TI or something like that. Maybe.
It's one of those. And I think that's get out of your headspace that you just have to game when streaming. A lot of people who are growing on Twitch, even in these downtimes, are people who are not doing games at all. They're literally doing they're just talking or showing their personality to a degree and doing funny stuff, doing baking streams and, silly stuff like that, where there's a lot more interaction. And I think you have to know the fact that with Twitch, it is about interaction. If you're not interacting, chances are people are not going to be watching you. While with YouTube, it's a very different beast. And that's a good thing, I think. There is a big differentiation there. And that's why it isn't just all encompassing. This, as we've said, streaming is definitely additive. It is not your crux. So yeah, that's one of them. Any other last myth before I give the last myth that I have, which I think we'll all agree with, hopefully.
It's a big myth that I'm an asshole. I apologize. All right, I'm not. You can tell that I'm legitimately worried that people are going to take all of this as the wrong way. I think maybe it's a few weeks in a row where people have taken some of my concepts the wrong way. And now I'm trying to give so much context every time. Even on your guys' myth, I was I think people are going to misunderstand that.
It's good though. It's good that you're trying to keep that in mind at the same time.
I never really worried about it on the stream room because I felt like in the longer format, it meant that usually people don't take things the wrong way. But I'm noticing more and more lately that we are saying something and people will be like, that doesn't make sense, or they'll misconstrue it. Kind of like when we talked about how Facebook, right? That Facebook, we said we don't want to have to use our real names. And someone said, yeah, you just make a page. And I was like, and Nick and I were talking about it, the three of us were talking about it. It's they've misunderstood, right? We're saying we don't want to have to watch a stream using our real name. You're not going to make a page to watch someone's stream, right? You know what I mean? You get forced to use your real name. And that's not what you want to do. And then we also, when I listen back to it, I go, yeah, that makes sense. That's the context we have of it. But when other people hear it, they think that's not right. You make a page. So I don't know. I'm trying to give more context. I apologize if it comes off heated. It's been a big week. And I think a lot of stuff is happening and a lot of people are struggling. And I wish more people were able to just take the dive and do things they enjoyed rather than continue just this rat race that they dislike on streaming.
This goes straight into my last myth. We've already touched upon it, but it's funny. I think we all wrote this down. But the final myth that I think a lot of people believe is that content creation is the be all and end all. And to me, no. There is life after content creation. There was life before content creation. You do not have to do content creation to show that you're creative. You do not have to do content creation to show that what you're doing is amazing for yourself, is amazing for the world. There are so many jobs and opportunities out there that I feel that with the recent pandemic of people obviously seeing a lot more content creators, they're like, I want to be like that. I want to touch people's lives in a way that's either entertaining or educational or whatever it is. And because they don't reach those heights that they see these other people who've been content creators do, that they are worthless, that they are not as creative or as intelligent or as attractive or smart or whatever it is that you put yourself up to with those people. That is not the case at all. This is a big ass ocean that everybody's trying to keep their head above water. And only successful 0.00001% are at the top of it. And by God, they got there through whether it was luck, hard work, ambition, drive, collabs, things like that. The biggest myth is that if you think content creation is what you're meant to do, it is not. It really is not. That goes for everyone. All the content creators, you are not meant to do anything in this world. And please do not put yourself up there with those people thinking you're lesser, because they are not. As we go from the very beginning, content creators do not have your best interests at heart. You need to have your best interests at heart. That's all I want to say.
Just have fun.
Yeah.
Just do it only do it if you're having fun with it.
Yeah.
Like I stopped streaming because I wasn't having fun with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I am enjoying myself now, right? Like at the start, you can hear the difference between the two topics. At the start, Reapz was like, how was your first YouTube stream? And it was like, yeah, I fucking loved it. This was all these amazing things, these great things. And it was like, hey, so let's talk about all these misconceptions to do with Twitch and streaming. And it's like, you can just hear how little fun I was actually having with it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why I kept saying, if it's a hobby, just only do it if you're having fun with it.
Yeah.
Right? Don't get into this sunken cost fallacy, right? Don't get into those poker nights where you're all in on a hand and you're like, halfway in on a hand, you've already invested enough that you need to put more in, right? Like,
but this 7 deuce offsuit always wins for me.
We have a rule at my poker nights where if you do have a 7-2, you have to play the hand. You're not allowed to sit the hand, because if anyone doesn't know, in poker, 7-2 is one of the all-time worst hands to be given as a player. And it's usually the most likely to fail. But we have a rule for us that if you get it, you got to play it.
Love it. That's a good rule. I like that.
I don't know. But that's because it's fun. Not because it's a good, it's because we enjoy it.
It's all about the fun.
It is.
But I don't know, boys.
What we should say is, again, we are planning to do a live podcast because we did reach that magical number. Thank you again for everybody who has subscribed, like, comment, and everything. Please continue to do so. Helps us grow. Please write your questions. Please write any topics that you may want us to cover. And it doesn't have to be content creation topics. Please, for the love of God, as we said, last week we did gaming. If you've got any suggestions of best TV shows, worst movies, anything like that, I would love to have a segment, if not an entire episode, talking about it, because Lord knows I love talking about media and movies and such other things like that. But again, boys, any last words or any last questions that we want to do, or myths that I may have forgotten before we head on out for the day, because we are dropping frames in a bit.
I think we're all good. I mean, would you boys like to see some of the results from the polls that we put out last week?
Please.
So, starting off with YouTube, for what people thought was the best game of the year suggestion, 62% said the Stanley Parable. So, well done there. So, a lot of people like the Stanley Parable, like what you said about it. And then we had 21% really liked the sound of the Outer Wilds, the Echo of the Eyes DLC, and then 18% for Inside. Actually, have you had a chance to play Somerville yet, Eljay? Speaking of Inside,
I don't want to talk about it this late in the episode.
Okay,
okay, all right.
However, for Diamond in the Rough, 70% liked Played Up. They think that Played Up was the biggest Diamond in the Rough. Absolutely. With Not for Broadcast getting 20%.
I know my indie.
He knows indie. And honestly, the same trend over on Twitter. We had less votes over on the Twitter polls, but Stanley Parable 58% for the Game of the Year, and then Played Up with 62%. So there you go. The people share the same sentiment across the platforms.
Lovely.
There we are.
Well, again, did we get response to what their favorite games of the year were in the
Yeah,
comments? I did see a few.
there are
of
a
them.
bunch of comments.
Yeah.
I can pull them up if you want.
Yeah,
that's
let's,
a really
let's
interesting
quickly
one.
hear about what they think of the game of the year, so I can
All right.
go wrong. You're wrong. I'm right.
You're wrong.
You're wrong.
Obviously, we were told that Back 4 Blood is not good.
Oh, really? Oh,
No, I'm only teasing. It's all right. Someone said they really want to play Raft, despite the fact that they have massive thalassophobia, which is hilarious. I still think you should definitely give it a cheeky go, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Is that the fear of like
Open water.
Open
The fear
water?
of unknown deep water.
Oh, it's deep
Yeah.
water. Sorry.
So the idea is you're not scared of like necessarily the water or anything like that. You're scared of the fact you can't see all the stuff down there. It's just too large. You know what I mean? Also, someone agreed that on our last episode, the week before, that the beaches in the UK suck ass and that all beaches suck, which I thought was just the funniest shit ever. Okay, so Two Righty said that he believes Stanley Parable is an unbelievable game, and all three games that we mentioned are great, but Stanley just has to take it, which I think is going to be very common. Another guy said that Reapz had an amazing old man laugh. I saw Reapz reply to that. The fucking only time Reapz has replied to a comment was someone mocking him about his old man laugh.
That's my old man laugh.
I thought this was a really good opinion. It was from Hamo. He said, look, Skyrim was a good game, but anyone actually pushing for it to be best game they've played this year is blinded by sweet rolls or didn't play any games this year. And Hamo, how dare you? A great meme,
Sweet
amazing
rolls,
meme. I want to say that this should be the first real stream room meme.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I want this to be a long-term copy pasta. If you hear us talk about something, so you need to convert it somehow into this as a copy pasta.
Okay.
I want it in every episode needs a comment like this.
Very good.
I'm locking it in. Okay.
Let's do
Lock
it.
it in.
Benj mentioned that he loves this Game of the Year stuff. Except one of the games he loved this year was Roombo First Blood, where you play as a Roomba defending your home from thieves and then cleaning up the mess afterwards so your family doesn't find
Dude,
out.
I'm looking this up right now.
He also played Star Wars Squadron. The single player campaign apparently was really well put together. And he said that Titanfall 2 took him by surprise as one of the most solid shooters, which we all agree with. Anyone listening to this knows that all three of us love TF2.
Mm-hmm.
What are they? It's TTF2, isn't it? Because TF2 is
Team Fortress.
Yeah.
He said Donut County was amazing, which is a really good one. I've actually played that. You play as a small hole that slowly eats things, and you get bigger and bigger the more things you eat until you slowly eat the entire planet. And then we've also got Faison, who said that he played Cyberpunk now that it's all been updated and stabilized and DLC'd, and he said that Cyberpunk is really good in its current state and has been added to his new favorites.
I've heard this as well, because the funny thing is this happened with The Witcher 3. Like, it still came out and was still like really well reviewed, but it was still like a buggy mess and they had to do a lot of patches.
Okay.
And with Cyberpunk, obviously that was just unplayable for most people. But now I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, because I do think CD Projekt Red, even if they are under crunch time and they do push something out, they're one of those developers that like, no, we need to fix this. Maybe that's just me again looking up to.
No, I think so. It is. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because they seemed very sad upon release of Cyberpunk from their notes and things like that. And it led most people who are a fan to be like, look, it seems like investors really pushed this out.
Yeah.
Which is fair, to be honest. I get it. It's a rock and a hard place, but yeah.
Because it'd been in development for just such a long time. They were just like, we need to see something. They're like,
we need money back
Yeah.
now.
We had Breezy mention that they loved Outer Wilds, but they couldn't play the DLC because it was far too scary for them. Which is interesting.
It is
Scary?
very, very rough at times.
I so want to play this now, dude. I've got a list. You're giving me a list of games to play.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
excited.
you need to. Evie's beating you to it. She's already started playing it.
What up? Anyway.
And then we had TBK said, Outer Wilds has to be the top choice for me, but I am conflicted because I do love Inside. However, Stanley Parable has never really appealed to me for some reason, which is interesting.
It's fair enough as well. Like, it is very niche, as we like to say, when it comes to gaming. But yeah, no, completely understandable.
And then finally, last one, I should also mention that Nick and Reapz are spot on that Blood and Wine and Undead Nightmare are some of the best stories in new AAA games. Because I asked you guys, I said, do you think DLC should have its own category? And you guys said absolutely, and then reference those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But again, it's not since then really that I've been like, I gotta get this DLC. Although apparently, as you said, Outer Wilds DLC is very, very good. So
Yeah.
It's funny.
Corrected.
I think Sword and Shield had amazing DLC as well, but the problem was that DLC fixed the game, not made
not improved upon it. Yeah,
right. Isn't that painful, right? All right, should we wrap this bad boy up?
Let's wrap it up. Thank you, obviously, to everyone who does like, comment, and subscribe. Please do so below hand. Write your questions for us, because we will go back to questions of the week. And again, topics that you'd like to see us covered. But for now, we are saying goodbye. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We are dropping frames. Last words, boys?
Bye.
Bye.